La di da 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 di da. La di da di da di da. Do you ever just lie in bed, think about food? I do. All the time. In the morning, before I get up, and before I go to bed. I'm just scrolling through my Pinterest, or my Instagram, which is actually just a bunch of vegan food porn, and I'm okay with that. If you had asked me 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, if I would ever enjoy my familial cooking obligations, I would tell you that you were bonkers, bananas, crazy. Because I found it to be a chore, and I was bored AF, and I didn't want anything to do with having to cook every day, but I had to because this is the choice I made. Then about a year ago, I went plant-based, and I said, wow, food. And I thought I was a food lover before, but man, not only am I a food lover now, but I love learning about all these new ways to cook food. Like, I had no idea some of these foods even existed that actually come from the earth and say, eat me. It's just been mind-blowing. So, welcome. If you want to like food again, if you want to like food for the first time, if you want to like cooking for the first time, if you want to learn more about any kind of food that comes from the earth, if you're looking to change your lifestyle forever or just once a week, or if you don't have any meat anymore because the stores are out of meat, you've come to the right place. Starting out with a pot roast type thing. I don't really have a name for it. It is a lentil-based food meal, in that lentils are gonna be where you find your main protein here. We seem to all be concerned about protein the most here in the West. So yeah, we've got something classic meat and potatoes flavors. You got some Worcestershire, you got some thyme, you got some sort of delicious potatoes and that kind of thing. Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, I mean, kung fu movies are cool and all, but this mismatched audio thing is not gonna work for me. Not in this one, I guess. No. Butter, oil, or if you're oil-free, just a little water or stock will do. Potatoes, rough chop. This is about 2 cups. Whatever you've got'll do. Carrots, classic pot roast stuff. I would have liked to have used more. Don't have it. Green beans. This is about a cup. I like adding green stuff. Couple cups of cauliflower. It might seem kind of random, but I find it adds well to anything. Good old vegetable broth. I use better than bouillon vegetable base. I think it has a lot of flavor. Tasty! Herb de Provence. Fancy way of saying thyme and a bunch of other tasty stuff. Worcestershire. This is what makes it super pot roasty, all the people. Delicious lentils. I would have loved to have more, but I had these in the fridge. Probably had some on my toast this morning, but yeah, use what you got. For those of you who are unfamiliar, we have 3 kinds of lentils that I've come across anyway. We've got the green, we've got the red, and over here we have the black. Let's talk more about lentils, shall we?
Lentils are so good, it's stupid. Like, I actually feel like silly sometimes. Like, like I get so excited. I'm like, lentils, I love you, lentils. Like, I get so excited about them because they're so inexpensive and they're so easy to cook and they're so versatile and I think they taste so good. Like, I make sure to make more. Well, I try to make more than I need at any given point because I like to keep lentils in the fridge and top various things with them whenever, because like, there'll be times, like last night I was falling asleep and I was like, breakfast, and then I'm like, I get to talk about lentils in the morning, and then I'm like, woohoo, lentils, and I'm like, then I should make lentils, then I should make toast, and then I should put hummus on that toast and avocado because my avocados are ripe, and then I should put like all these lentils on there, and then I should put my everything bagel seasoning, and then I should eat it and it'll be awesome. Yeah. Because, like, food is I love it. As for what lentils actually are, they are what we call a legume. The first time I had ever heard of a lentil, admittedly, I was probably 10 or 12, and I was watching an episode of The Simpsons. and it was the one with where Paul McCartney was on, but that played into this kind of like vegetarian cliche that Lentils just sort of walked right into unknowingly. So you know, from that point on, Lentils just sort of became for me this thing that you know, uh, you kind of make fun of a little bit, and it's you know, I didn't really investigate further because we certainly never cooked with lentils when I was growing up. I had no idea, so I hadn't even attempted a lentil dish of any kind until a year ago. So my love affair is in its early stages, but I'm hooked for sure. And you know, they come in these packages, right? So this is the green lentils. They're not called green lentils on the package, but that's what recipes are going to call them. They cook up faster than pasta. Um, you can eat them pretty much at any texture. So you cook them, and like most people like them a little bit firm, so that you can actually like chew them. But again, they're really small, so they have a similar texture to like a bean, like a black bean or kidney bean, except they're much smaller. That's the closest I can sort of compare, but they work in so many things. You can add them almost unnoticed, just to add some protein and some iron to stuff. They're so cheap, and there's these three kinds, right? So there's the green, which is they're sort of larger than the other two, and there's kind of like a peppery taste, like a black pepper, not like a spicy like a black pepper, but it sort of has that, you know, if you take the spice away from black pepper, there's a taste to it, right? So that's kind of what this is like a little bit. But it's mild, it's earthy. And there's the black lentils, which are very similar to these green lentils, but they're smaller. And they tend to keep their shape and stay firm a little bit better. And then there's the red lentils, and the red lentils, I found out by accident, are actually not meant to keep their shape. Excuse me. They're not meant to keep their shape at all. They mush up right away. So think like red lentil hummus, because it lends itself well to, like, you know, making them creamy and adding stuff. That I've yet to try, but I might do that soon because that sounds delicious. There's soup. There's soups, like soups and like thick soups that you make where you know, you get to use your fond memories and blender. Love that thing. That's my favorite. That's like probably my favorite kitchen gadget. And they add this fun like orange color to stuff, which is also fun. Maybe I'll make in my Instapot one of these days the red lentil chickpea sweet potato soup, and then you get to be fancy and you get to put like you know, because all these recipes, right, they're like, and then garnish it with all these things you don't have, and you're not sure whether you should eat them or not. But I garnish the soup with sunflower seeds. But we're not making that soup right now, so why am I talking about it? But in this particular dish, they work really well because you feel full and you feel nourished, but the flavors and the other things in it are very reminiscent of like a pot roast or something. So, you know, it's satisfying in that way that, you know, sort of non-vegetarians or non-vegans can really appreciate. It works well with a diverse crowd, if you will, and you can easily make a lot because it's just put a whole bunch of stuff in the skillet, cook it, eat it.
Alright, saute some onions. I didn't mention these up front. Oh well. Put a little salt. Not actually necessary. I did this out of habit. There's enough salt in all the other stuff. But, yeah. Wow, Lara. There we go. And just like that, other stuff. Yeah, potatoes and broth is what's in here next. The broth, you know, things sort of cook in the broth. You know, the flavors kind of simmer together. I like to do the root vegetables. Carrots are coming next. Potatoes, carrots, those things take a little longer to cook than the other stuff I currently have in queue. So just toss these in there, mix it all up. In a second. There we go. Smells good. All right. I like to add some things at this point because the herbs are going to really add a lot of flavor. Like I said, you know, look up what herb de Provence has in it. There's a couple different blends. This one's from Trader Joe's. It has a little bit of lavender in it. I don't find it overpowering at all. It's really fragrant. There's a bunch of other tasty flavors in there, but super classic. just like, you know, a Thanksgiving or a big roasty dinner. I don't think you can have too many of these flavors in here. I probably put in like 2 tablespoons of the blend-ish. Worcestershire. I love this stuff. I probably end up putting like like an eighth of a cup maybe. You know, it is something you can sort of add at the end if you don't feel like there's enough in there, but yeah, I love it. Add to taste, cover, simmer. Till the root vegetables are fork tender. Ta-da! Oh, looks good. So, yeah, we're going to probably at this point, yep, exactly, toss in the more delicate vegetables. They do not take as long to cook. So the green beans, the cauliflower, mix it all up. I guess my skillet getting a little full. Cover again. Let it do its thing. Hi, salt and pants. Salt and pants. Salt on the top, pepper on the bottom. I don't ever use the salt on the top because I have 8,000 other places that I put salt in my house. But pepper, I usually use ground pepper, like peppercorns in a mill, but I don't seem to have that at the moment. Gotta add that to the list. But it's fun to use the little pants. He makes me laugh. Look, fork tender. Yahoo! Apparently I feel the need to try again. Make sure that one's good. Haha. Yes, that one's good too. So we're almost good. But now we add the lentils. And these have been in the fridge, so they just need a little bit of time. Otherwise, you'd have to make them separately. They only take about 15 minutes, though, to cook. I think I added, there we go. What did I just add? I don't know, it might have been garlic powder. Might have been these nutritional yeast flakes. We might have a whole segment on what nutritional yeast is. It's a B12 and a B6, sort of a supplement, sort of. It's got some iron and other stuff in it, but generally vegetarians and vegans use them to get B vitamins. Your body absorbs B vitamins better through food than through pills. But honestly, I think everybody needs to up their B12 and B6, not just vegans and vegetarians. I love a little Dijon mustard. Not everyone's going to want this. I think it adds some depth, and that's why I added it in there. You can't taste it, really. Yeah, ketchup, same thing. It's just going to add a little body. I don't even tell anybody that it's in there. But the ketchup and the mustard adds just a little bit of depth, like I said. Ta-da! It even looks like pot roast, doesn't it? Now we go try it. Yeah, I'm gonna taste it. It's hot. Hot. I don't look sure, but I am sure. I got a little self-conscious eating in front of the camera like this. And got distracted by how much I look like my brother, but it's so good. And here's the finished product. Gonna make a little scoopity scoop into the bowl. We had bagels. That was our bread. Obviously, you'd want nice, sort of rustic, crusty loaf for something like this, but that was not in my house. Look at that. Yep.
Hey, leave a comment below if you have any idea what I should name this dish, if you've tried it or whether you've not. Off the top of my head, I can think of not roast. Oh, that's a good one. I like it. I might go with that for the time being. If you have any better ideas, which you won't, because that one's pretty good. Yeah, leave a comment or not. It's fine. It's just fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. See you later.
La di da 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 di da. La di da di da di da.